Paul Finebaum has changed his tune on Deion Sanders again, and now he thinks he's going to leave for the SEC.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. My name is Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Let's talk about it. Colorado head coach Deion Sanders is one of the hottest names in college football, even with the departures of his sons to the NFL. And Paul Finebaum, known SEC apologist, known SEC enthusiast, I guess, he thinks that Deion Sanders should be going to the SEC anytime now. When making an appearance on First Take, this is what he said. Or they were talking about, him and Stephen A. were firing back and forth the idea of Deion Sanders going to the SEC. And he said, this is what he said: Deion is a change agent, but I want to mention a school that could have hired Deion very easily. You mentioned Florida State. He interviewed for Arkansas about 5 or 6 years ago. Arkansas, they hired somebody else, Sam Pittman. He's been on the hot seat now for 3 years. I realize it's not the glitz and glamour of Alabama. There's a lot of schools that pass on Deion Sanders, and deep down, I bet their fan base regret it. So, now Paul Finebaum is saying Deion Sanders is going to Arkansas. How exciting, right? Wrong. I think the whole premise of Deion Sanders leaving for the SEC is exactly what's wrong with where college football is and is headed to, right? I was almost going to say it. We all complain. I was going to say be and complain, right? You know what I mean? About how college football isn't the same as it once was. We all complain about the constant movement, the constant this, the constant that, the playoff expanding there's too many teams or there's not enough teams, right? Where no one's ever happy with college football. And right now, the thing that upsets me the most about college football is that it's turned into 2 super conferences above everybody else, and everyone else is just lesser than second-class citizen. And it's like we should all cater to the SEC and the Big Ten. And I get it. The SEC and the Big Ten, they're all the last champions except for Clemson in, what was that, 2016, 2018, right? I get it. I get why the SEC and the Big Ten have this hold on college football, because for the most part, they have been dominating the sport. That being said, what happened to being okay with parity? What happened to being okay with other challengers emerging? What happened to, hey, it's not everybody needs to reside in the South or the Northeast to be relevant, right? And excuse me, I think there's a lot of people that cater to their region, their network, looking at certain people who we're discussing, who cater to the region and or network more than the sport itself, right? I think their opinions are based off of like, hey, I want this because it would mean this for my company, right? Like, obviously, if someone were to ask me, do you want Deion Sanders to leave Colorado? I'd say no, right? Obviously, I enjoy covering him. I enjoy talking about Colorado. He has the program as relevant as it's ever been. That being said, I don't think people would go to a guy who does a daily podcast on Colorado and be like, hey, you think it's a good idea for Deion Sanders to leave? No. So why should we listen to someone who is basically a mouthpiece for the SEC about Deion Sanders leaving for the SEC? I'm literally, let's bring this up. Paul Finebaum, disgrace, right? About a year ago, let's see, I think it was a year ago, August 26th was when this happened. Paul Finebaum was calling Deion Sanders disgraceful for how he treated that certain reporter. And he said, Coach Prime is showing he is not ready for prime time. I find this whole thing disgraceful. Deion, they want to talk about the love and joy, and that's been the cornerstone of what he seems to be spewing out. But treating reporters like this seems like weird. We're in some autocratic country, This is not America. The fact that it's in his contract is even more absurd. And he said, don't forget he did this at Jackson State. This is a trait of Deion Sanders. He wants to have it his way, and I find him to be a bully and a hypocrite. Quite frankly, as someone who has been a fan of his throughout his entire career, even at Colorado, I'm mortified by his actions. Okay, so last year he's a disgrace. Now it's like, oh, cool. Deion Sanders is cool again. He's back in the limelight, right? Like, let's get him to SEC country and send him to Fayetteville, right? Why? let college football not just be a certain region. Stop, I guess, spreading your propaganda for the SEC, right? We don't need every coach who's ever been. Sorry, there was someone, I thought I saw someone looking into my window, just moved here, a little nervy, And yeah, there's been a lot of just propaganda and just stuff spewed out about why things should happen. Let's talk about why Deion Sanders won't leave Colorado. I mean, he had two of the best opportunities or excuses to leave Colorado this offseason, right? His sons and Travis Hunter, they go to the NFL. That was sort of the one question that everybody had was like, hey, is he going to want to coach when his sons are no longer at Colorado? It's like, hey, does he care about coaching college football, or does he only care about boosting the brand of his sons? Does he care about boosting Colorado, or is he there for the Shedeur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, Travis Hunter show? Well, he stuck around after that, right? He stuck around after they made him one of the highest paid coaches in college football. So I feel like that's an incentive too. Also, he beat the C word, right? He beat cancer. Deion Sanders could have easily, and this wouldn't have been an excuse. I think a lot of people would have mocked him like they did Urban Meyer. I mean, Urban Meyer, granted, pulled this card a couple times. But they would have mocked him if he was like, you know what, I have a health issue and I just don't think coaching is the right thing for me, right? Deion Sanders has had two bulletproof excuses to leave Colorado. And guess what? He's in Boulder right now preparing for Georgia Tech week 1, right? Or week 0, week 1, week 0, whatever it is. I think it's week 1, right? Week 1, sorry. Yeah, he's been preparing. He's had all the opportunities in the world to leave Colorado, and he's chosen not to. So why are we trying to force it? I don't get it. Stop. We don't all have to be going to the SEC. We don't all have to cater to the SEC because Deion Sanders has an opportunity that Arkansas can never give him, right? Arkansas is, oh gosh, I don't even know what tier they are anymore in the SEC. Arkansas was once a big brand. I would say they are a big-ish brand. That being said, I think Arkansas is on par with, I think Arkansas is closer to, say, Kentucky and Mississippi State than they are to the Alabamas, Texases, Ohio States of the world, right? Both talent-wise, both popularity-wise. Arkansas is not that, right? Plus, Arkansas, and I think this goes for all SEC schools, and I'm not going to pretend that I have the Arkansas boosters on speed dial. We're just chatting it up all the time. But the one thing that Deion Sanders, I'm sure, loves about Colorado is the fact that he kind of does whatever he wants. He doesn't have anyone telling him what to do. He controls everything about Colorado. So why would he want to leave that? Just answer me that. This episode of Locked on Bucks is brought to you by our sponsors over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that your entire financial life, that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Thank God I hate a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Open Phone. Now, let me tell you about Open Phone. If you haven't been using it already, you need to. You need to hop on Open Phone because they do a little bit of everything for you. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Of course not. You moved on. That's why you need Open Phone. So you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone has solved that instantly. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedon. That's openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even pour over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up this year. Former Buff who played for Deion Sanders, Jordan Dominic, is going to be joining us to do a recap of each game, and we're going to do like a little film session. It's going to be awesome, right? So you guys won't want to miss that. And of course, we're going to have really cool guests throughout the year as well. Hykeem Williams, one of Colorado's, I guess, most high-profile transfers, or maybe probably the second most high-profile transfer behind Jaheim Otis. He's in a little bit of hot water because I think Florida State fans are in their feelings. And let me explain. And this isn't a jab at Florida State. And I think my preface of this, them being in their feelings, probably doesn't help. But let me explain. Hykeem Williams was asked about the difference between being in Boulder and being at Tallahassee at their respective programs. And for him, he's a former 5-star guy, like I said, ranked as the 24th overall recruit, number 4 wide receiver. Now, I don't think it's a secret that he didn't quite live up to expectations in Tallahassee. Now, you could point at injuries, you could point at more experience ahead of him. He just didn't break through yet, right? He had 21 catches for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he was asked about the biggest difference. And the 21-year-old wide receiver said there's more and more development. Coming here, you're just around so much guys that have been there. I mean, there was guys that had been there at Florida State, but here it's just another level. You got 3 Gold Jackets, the Hall of Fame members. You got NFL guys that come in, Hall of Famers that come in still supporting us and help us to be great and succeed. Now, naturally, this gets picked up and aggregated by a bunch of Florida State sites and people, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. And I hate to break it to Florida State people. One, Hykeem Williams got there in 2023, right? So he rode the pine during, I think he was injured, if I'm not mistaken, but rode the pine during their what could have been a playoff run. 2024, they were 2-10. They were awful. And the development wasn't there. And whether Florida State fans want to admit this or not, it wasn't, right? There's a reason that Keon Coleman, who's now with the Bills, was warning recruits and warning wide receivers that were visiting Florida State like, hey, dude, do not come here. It's a mess, right? That's out there. It is out there. Keon Coleman at one point was telling recruits who were visiting Florida State, like, it ain't worth it, right? They're not coaching. They're not developing. And I think people got really pissed at that. And then guess what? Mike Norvell fires 3 coaches this past year or after this past year. Defense coordinator, I guess it was like they were 1-9 at the time. So right before the season ended. D coordinator, offensive coordinator, which I mean, that's probably played a role in Hykeem's development, and the wide receivers coach, right? So now Hykeem Williams is in the Colorado program who, I mean, you just look at the Colorado coaches. You have Deion Sanders, primary corner, special teams guy. I mean, I won't say special teams guys in the sense of like he was only playing special teams. He was a primary corner who played some special teams and also played receiver, dynamic return man. But he scored some touchdowns as a receiver as well. But you have, these are the people working with you. Deion Sanders, who's the best corner ever, who knows what tells there are in a receiver, who knows how to give wide receivers advice on how to beat corners or like what corners are looking for. So that way, wide receivers can hide their tendencies or modify their releases, whatever it is. Deion Sanders can help with that, right? Robert Livingston, he's a defensive coordinator, but he could also do the same, right? You have Brett Bartolone, who's the tight ends coach, offense pass game coordinator. He's a guy who worked with receivers before they brought in Jason Phillips, but you have Jason Phillips and Bartolone who are able to sort of just go back and forth off each other and help guide these guys, right? So he has more opportunities there. I'm not really sure what Byron Leftwich is just yet because I'm looking on the site right now and he's not listed as a staffer, but Brian Leftwich is there, right? Whether it's full-time or not, Byron Leftwich is going to be there. Offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl winning team, offensive coordinator for a lot of successful teams in the NFL, right? Byron Leftwich, NFL quarterback himself. They have so many minds that can help Hykeem Williams. And I mean, Colorado needs Hykeem to be a guy, right? They have 3 guys drafted. Will Shepherd gets signed, right? They're replacing 4 NFL wide receivers. That's not easy, right? And I think it was Coach Phillips that said they have depth of 8 to 11. And I don't really buy that. That's not really been the trend under Colorado the past few years, right? I think the rotation spans about 4 to 6 people. And after that, because now you have Zach Atkins, right? And so if people think that Colorado's just going to be rotating receivers all the time, it's not going to happen, right? They're going to trust they're going to put in the guys who they trust. They're going to put in the guys who they believe in and who are making the most consistent plays. And you also have Zach Atkins, who adds another dynamic at tight end that Colorado has not had, right? So there's going to be one less receiver or less someone's snaps or catches are going to be cut in half because of Zach Atkins being there. But it's one of those things where I think Hykeem Williams, I think a lot of Florida State fans, are going to be rubbed the wrong way about that. And I don't think it was meant as a jab, right? I think it was just meant as like, hey, I think I'm growing as a player more here than I was at Florida State. Now, Florida State fans, they're going to take that however they want to take that. They're going to throw out their history of like, hey, Florida State's been a better program historically than Colorado. I mean, sure. I think you could probably go back and forth with every little thing, whether it's Heisman winners or it's championships. And I'm sure there's certain categories where it's like, oh, we have this many All-American, blah, blah. At the end of the day, Florida State hit some rough times this past year, right? Going 2-10 after nearly making the 14 playoff is literally insane. There's a reason that coaches were fired. There's a reason that players left, right? So I think Hykeem Williams has a golden opportunity to show that, like, hey, I could live up to my ranking. I could live up to the standard that was once held for me. And I think Florida State fans are probably going to be rooting on his downfall a little bit, but that's just sort of the nature of what happens when you transfer to Colorado. When we come back, what is a successful season for the Colorado Buffaloes in year 3 under Deion Sanders? This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up and college football isn't far behind. Whether you got your eye on big name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. The flex play option is a total game changer on Prize Picks. Even when one of your picks misses, you still double your money. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks apps today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. We don't want you missing out, right? Like I said, we're going to have some really cool things coming up. Jordan Dominic's going to be joining the show after pretty much every game. We're also going to have a little film room that you guys can subscribe to eventually. So you won't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff. What constitutes a success? What constitutes? Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. I don't know why. Word soup. What is a success for Colorado in 2025? Well, it's a great question, right? I think we have to understand Colorado does not have the star power that they had last year, but I think this roster is more complete. I think the coaches are going to step it up this year, and I think Colorado is going to be more balanced. Does that equate to more wins? We'll find out. That being said, what is the standard? Well, the standard for Colorado, and I think Deion Sanders would agree with this himself, so I'm not casting I'm not putting him to this standard where it's like, oh, he has to do this or he's a flop, right? I think Deion Sanders would agree with this, right? Standard for Colorado is contending for the Big 12, right? Whether or not they're playing in Arlington or for the Big 12 title, I don't know. I think being in the mix for the Big 12, being in that 8 to 9 win range again, I think that should be sort of the baseline for success, right? I think if Colorado drops down to 7-6 wins, it's like, okay, we took a step back, right? And I think there's going to be some drop off, right? Kaidon Salter and Julian Lewis are both really good. I think Julian Lewis is going to be a great quarterback eventually. Could even be better than Shedeur Sanders somewhere down the line. But as of right now, neither of them are as good as Shedeur Sanders at this current moment. Travis Hunter. There is no corner or receiver on this roster that is as good as Travis Hunter was last year. The offensive line should be better. The defensive line has some pieces that I like. I think Anquan Barnes is going to be big for Colorado. I was really in on Jaheim Otis. Now I'm selling my Jaheim Otis stock a little bit, right? Corners, I think DJ McKinney's going to do great. Preston Hodge, same thing. Tyrekus Davis from Wyoming. I think he's going to be the third guy. Tion Parks is also going to be in the mix there, who for those guys that kind of replace Colton Hood. But this Colorado team has a lot of talent. They have the coaching. They have the success from last year to build off of. They just need to put it together, right? They need to start fast. They need to start strong, right? If Colorado doesn't start fast, I could see things falling apart quickly because you're going to have the quarterback battle debacle. If the offense is starting slow, I mean, Byron Leftwich is basically hovering over the shoulder of Pat Shurmur. So there's that, right? So if you're Colorado, you need to get things going fast. You can't just sort of meander your way into conference play because you go Georgia Tech week 1, which I think is a very tough game to open with. It's not even a trap game. It's a straight up hard game to open the season with. That's a team that took Georgia to 6 overtimes, super physical. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try to run the ball down Colorado's throat. Haynes King is probably, I'm trying to think, right? I'm trying to think of the most dynamic quarterbacks that Colorado has played under Deion Sanders. And I think you could put Caleb Williams, Bo Nix up there, right? I don't think either of them really use their legs a lot. Avery Johnson is really dynamic. I don't think he ran a lot. Jeff Sims was nothing. Random Jeff Sims stray. But yeah, I think Haynes King is probably the most willing runner that Colorado's faced at quarterback. He's powerful, he's aggressive, he's strong, and he's going to give Colorado some troubles. So they need to be able to slow him down. I think success for Colorado, 8 to 9 win range is like awesome for sustaining success. Anything below 8 to 9 is, okay, we took a step back. How do we build off that for the next year, right? Anything above 8 to 9 wins is like, okay, we're exceeding expectations because I think a lot of people around college football are out on this team. I'm very much in on this team going 8-4, 7. Like, I think they go 8-4, right? I think 7-5 is, I'm hovering between those two spots. It's really hard for me to predict. But I do think Colorado has an opportunity to make some noise and show people like, hey, this wasn't just the Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter show, right? We are a program that is ready to sustain success for years to come. So that is my take on the matter. Comment below, what record does Colorado need to post for you to think that they have a successful season? Let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you all for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available over each podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so that way you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. I will see you guys tomorrow.